So we've been discussing the relationship between Elon and Trump since Elon took the stage and jumped around like a kid in a candy store. One that was bought and paid for long in advance, and that Elon is definitely looking to cash in on now that Trump has won, where there's been a bit of a growing divide among the MAGA voting base and the tech bro wing that Elon represents, as it seems with some of his recent actions, the MAGA base has opened their eyes to the fact that this is the deep state or the big tech elites that they were told were the Democrats. Instead, they're realizing these are the people who have always been calling the shots in their party, and now they don't like it. And as a tidbit, someone recently commented that the Democrats, as they become the party of the elites, it's clear Republicans have taken and became the party of the worker, like the classic liberals. We care about, the middle class. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure they really leaned into being the party of the worker by appointing 13 billionaires to run like the most the parts of the government we depend on the most, including giving the richest man in the world who fired striking workers and hates unions the power over labor regulations. That's definitely something you do if you're pro-worker. Or, appointing a billionaire who married into that money, didn't accumulate the wealth like starting businesses. As she's never started a small business, as the head of the Small Business Association, because that's, how you signal support for the working class, for the mom and pop shops trying to grow their own businesses. Like, the delusion these people have is fanatical, especially if we're looking at the other side of that thought where Democrats have abandoned the worker. Biden walked the picket line like 2 years ago. He appointed the two most pro-worker NLRB picks that we've ever seen, right? Who then allowed car check certifications, which gave massive bargaining power back to unions. He enabled massive strikes like from Starbucks to UAW, Kaiser Permanente. Democrats attempted to raise the minimum wage 4 times under Biden. Like, I could go on and on about like the pro-worker. Like, Biden's the most pro-worker president that we've had in like since FDR, right? Like, it's surprising that he was that pro-worker, but which makes it even funnier that Republicans are like, they're the party of the elites. And it's like the 13 billionaires behind Trump. Like, look at all those elites, I think it's clear that Trump just markets himself as the everyman, while Democrats don't know how to market as the everyman, but that's actually who they represent. Like, we're just supposed to believe the Democrats are all fake, and it's the billionaires that have our best interests in mind. Of those, Elon Musk, being the richest of and closest to Trump, has called into question just how close they really are and how much influence does he hold, will he hold when Trump's in office. And as Elon's already managed to kill a spending bill, got the whole House to go against it, and then caused Trump to 180 his entire position on H-1B visas, I think it's pretty clear that Elon is the man who's going to be running the country for the next 4 years, as Trump is a shell of himself who just, shows out for the appearances because his cult members love him and just want to see him. And with reporting like this, with the New York Times, one might understand why that is. As it's reported, Elon has been staying on a $2,000 a night cottage at Mar-a-Lago, which allows him this kind of continuous connection with Donald Trump, where now after spending upwards of $250 million skewing the election to help Trump win, bribing voters directly with $1 million, converting X to a platform that boosts right-wing voices and suppresses the left, censoring the J.D. Vance dossier, going as far to suspend the journalist account who shared it. He is now able to sit in on personal meetings and phone calls because the richest man in the world spending $250 million to influence an election, then being able to sit in with the president and influence his decision isn't exactly like what MAGA was saying the Democrats are doing. Like, it's just so wild to me after 4 years of MAGA pretending that Democrats are evil. Like, so many right-wingers told me the entire reason that I left the Democratic Party, I was a Democrat and I could never be a Democrat again because they became the party of elites and now they're taking money from George Soros and they're letting George Soros call the shots and even though there's literally no evidence of any of this happening, they're now just like completely 180ing to thinking this is the sickest thing. I guess we're supposed to believe these people were actually Democrats at one time and they left the Democrats because they violated their one core principle of working with the elites and taking money from them and allowing them to call shots. And that's what they're against, which, okay, fine. But then like Republicans do it and it's like, this is fucking sick, dude. Like, yeah, crack skulls on the libs. Like, you were never a Democrat. You never had a problem with this. Like, just admit you lied. Just admit you want red to win. Like, I don't get why these people have to LARP so hard about these things to where it's clear that they think deep state elites continuing the control of the establishment is a good thing if it means that it's not Democrats in control. Just say it. right? They're so brainwashed that they don't even understand that it's not left versus right at that point. It's top versus bottom. And as someone sitting pretty on the bottom, they just gave more power to the top. And we're gonna do this or show this by doing something I never thought I would do on this channel, right? I said I would never do, and that's play a Laura Loomer clip, despite her being a terrible person. That's because when even the most cult-minded, brainwashed, terrible human being can see the light on what's happening, it's like, come on, MAGA, why can't you?
This is the problem when you allow for a billionaire to make a $200 million donation. And so maybe we really do need to have campaign finance regulations in this country. I mean, essentially what is happening, and I love President Trump. I'm not saying that President Trump is bought and paid for, but it sounds like people are scared of crossing the king of the world, Elon Musk, the monarch, okay? Nobody wants to cross this guy, the richest man in the world who controls access to social media, the digital town square, and is now basically has everybody in a codependent, abusive relationship like they're a bunch of junkies, because he's been able to monetize the platform so that all the conservatives using his platform are essentially addicted.
And actually, the bigger thing isn't them being addicted, is that they're scared to lose monetization. Those who have been speaking out against Elon since the visa thing have lost their sponsorships and lost their blue checks. But, you know, Elon is a free speech warrior, and Republicans love free speech until you're mean to them. And then it's like, Elon's right. He has the right. It's his business. But if you censor a conservative, oh my God, it's the end of the world. And as to money, MAGA often tries to compare this to Zuckerberg, which is a really bad comparison and weird. So I want to take a second to debunk it really quick because I'm tired of seeing it in my comments. Zuckerberg did donate money in 2020. He did donate hundreds of millions of dollars as well in the election, right? But he didn't donate a single dollar to Joe Biden. He didn't donate a single dollar that benefited the Democratic Party. In short, what happened was Congress, because Republicans will always leave out context. Context kind of is the enemy of misinformation. Congress was transitioning to set up infrastructure for what they knew would be a difficult COVID election with the necessary protection, more staff to ensure like the distancing, obviously like the protective equipment, shields for the voting booth, and then also the infrastructure for mail-in voting. This was estimated to cost around $4 billion. There was a package put forth in one of the spending packages to allot this money to allow it. Republicans were trying to thwart mail-in voting as they knew that it would probably favor Democrats, seeing as Trump was literally on the campaign trail saying it was fake. So they dragged their feet on passing this funding. It was ubiquitous whether this was going to pass, right? Whether Republicans were even going to fund this. So Zuckerberg stepped in and said, okay, I'll donate a couple $100 million to fill the gap in the time while you're negotiating this to nonprofits that nonpartisanly will help build out this infrastructure. You can trace this money through Republican officials like Pam Anderson and Brian Mead and conservative nonprofits that they run as well, where it was distributed completely nonpartisanly across both party lines in local and state elections. And when you look, Trump won slightly, some federal elections as well, but it was districts for under 25,000 population. So it was like mostly local and state elections. Of the federal ones, Trump won slightly more of the Zuckerberg districts. And then even if you take like the ones where like it wasn't on the federal level, but they're on the, like Trump won a disproportionate amount of these districts as Democrats do better in more densely, highly populated areas. And these were lower populations, more rural areas where it benefits conservatives. So not only did Zuckerberg not donate a penny to Biden, but of the money that he donated, it didn't benefit Democrats in any way, shape, or form, but in a way that helped our elections for both parties equally. And then of those districts, Trump won most of them. So you can't even then say, like the other conspiracy is that, well, he bought these boxes and that's how they stole the election. But it's like Trump won most of those districts. So it's like you literally can't even say that. And then, of course, you know, you have the, oh, he censored COVID misinformation on Facebook. And we're supposed to believe that this is somehow comparable to Elon directly donating $250 million to Trump's campaign, offering $1 million directly to voters who sign up for his super PAC, essentially signaling that they would vote for Trump, and then boosting right-wing voices on X, censoring the J.D. Vance dossier, banning the journalists who shared it, and then sharing AI-altered videos of Democrats that are just straight-up propaganda. This is what I mean when I say every accusation is a confession for MAGA. They were so mad at what Zuck did. So many of them left the Democratic Party because of this. But when Elon does it directly, openly, right? Like you for Zuckerberg, you have to make this conspiracy to say, well, the money secretly went to Democrats. Like, this is what MAGA has to do. They have to connect these straws to say, well, even though he donated to these election officials, those boxes were then, fraudulent and helped Biden win and like whatever the conspiracy is going to be. But then Elon is like directly donating to the party. And it's like, who cares? Like, and he's donating to the party after buying X and stating that he wouldn't support either party. But for MAGA, because it helped Trump, it's not a bad thing, right? And that shows how real their moral standards are, which is why it's like, why would we ever take anything you say serious? Why would we take any criticism serious from MAGA if they're going to fold on it the second that Trump changes his opinion?